Well, once again, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're joining us today. My name is Hirsch Smith. I'm the recruiting specialist at the College of Engineering, and I'm based in Boston. Thanks for joining us for our Vancouver Campus Spotlight. We're in for an amazing session. We have a specialist for the Vancouver itself. Tiffany is here to talk all about Vancouver and answer any questions you have. So we are going to do some groundkeeping rules. So the first thing I like to always discuss is our code of conduct. This is a safe space, so we like you to respect us as we respect you, as well as respect your future colleagues that have joined us on this call. So these are just some things that we'd like to always just discuss. The university seeks to provide a supportive environment that is conducive to learning, the pursuit of truth, exchange of knowledge, and intellectual development. As well as on the bottom of your screen, you will see a Q&A feature. Please click on that to type in any questions you have. If you have something that needs to go in the notes or in the chat section, you can, but we do advise you to use the Q&A feature as your question may be very similar to another colleague of yours that's on the call today. So this is just some of the agenda for the session, a brief introduction, an overview of Northeastern. Then we're going to, of course, do the Vancouver campus overview, and then we'll just do a general College of Engineering overview, and then, of course, your next steps. So I'm going to pass it over to Tiffany to let her introduce herself, as well as talk more about the Vancouver campus.
Thank you, Harsh. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany Duff. I am the Associate Director of Student Recruitment and Enrollment located in our Vancouver, Canada campus. So I primarily work with prospective students who are interested in learning more about our programs in Vancouver. So whether it's helping you to connect with enrollment counselor to learn more about our programs, perhaps connecting you to a faculty member who can share more about their research and their professional experience. So basically, I'm just here as a resource to help sharing more information. Just a quick overview about Northeastern University. So Northeastern is an R1 research university. Mainly, that's mean it's a top tier R1 research university. Meaning it's a top tier in innovation and academic research. So with 125 years of academic excellency, Northeastern has built an extensive alumni network. You will see around 300,000 alumni from over 181 countries. And in addition to our alumni network, we also have a huge partner network with over 3,000 partners working along with us to build more project and also build more co-op internship opportunity for our students. Next slide, please, Harsh. So Northeastern University has around 13 campuses around the United States, Canada, and London. So around the West Coast, we have Vancouver, Seattle, Seneca Valley, and Oakland campus. And on the East Coast, we have Toronto, which is another Canadian campus, Boston, Portland, Maine, Arlington, Charlotte, Miami, and the newest campus is New York. We also have a campus overseas, which is the UK, London, UK campus. So why Vancouver? Vancouver is located on the west coast of North America, just a 45 minutes flight or a 3-hour drive from Seattle. Vancouver, because Vancouver's geographic location, several of our tech giants have chosen Vancouver as their Canadian headquarters. So Vancouver also been called the Hollywood North for its very well-developed creative industries. So from AI to gaming, from security to software, with around 11,000 tech companies and employing around 250,000 British Columbians, technology is the fastest growing sector in BC. Around 30% of British Columbia's immigrants to BC, which is British Columbia, from another country. So you will find our Northeastern Vancouver campus has a very diverse staff and faculty members in our campus. Next slide, Harsh, please. And then I think the next one. So our newest campus is located at 410 West Georgia, which is the Deloitte Summit Tower in downtown Vancouver. So around our campus, you can see there are a lot of big tech giant, also startup or mid-sized companies. So like Amazon is right across the street of our Vancouver campus. Their new Amazon expansion will add another 1,300 new tech job in our tech sectors. You will also find Microsoft, SAP, Salesforce, and EA Games around our campus. So our downtown campus, we operation on our second floors, 14th floors, and 15th floors. So next slide, please. 14th and 15th floors are our classrooms, administrative areas, and the second floor is actually our embedded partner floors. So we invite community partners, startup companies to host office on our second floor. And then we're partnering with them so that they regularly host sessions to help our students to explore co-op internship opportunities, and also build more research opportunities for our Vancouver students so that they will be able to complete their co-op internships or capstone projects to complete their graduate programs in our Vancouver campus. So we can go to the next two slides. The next two slides are just to showcase our Vancouver campus. So you can see some of that classroom size. So our Vancouver campus, our classrooms, I would say the smallest classrooms is around 20 students, and the biggest classrooms around 36 to 38. So you will see it's a very small classroom, so that our faculty members will be able to help with a small group of students. So let's say if this cohort, well, if you are international student, you have to take at least 2 courses to become a full-time student. If you are domestic student, you can take 1 course every semester. So let's say if your program is if your program, let's say it's one course, we say 20 hours of studying. So if it's 2 courses, so it's 40 hours, so it's full-time students. So student may be coming into classroom every Monday for 3 hours, or every Tuesday afternoon for 3 hours, depending on your schedules. Normally, you will receive your in-class schedules around 2 to 3 weeks before your program starts. When you register your program. So I think Harsh will be able to share more information on if you become a student, when is the registration will open. Vancouver campus is around 5 years old. Our first cohort, 5 years ago, we welcomed 9 students from computer science, but now we have over 750 students in Vancouver. Last week, we just welcomed around another 250 of students coming into our Vancouver. Vancouver, it's a very multicultural city. I was international student 23 years ago. So I came to Vancouver 23 years ago and never left. We have 4 seasons. So you can during summer, you can enjoy all the summer activities on the beach, lots of hikings. And during winter time, there are several mountains you can go to ski. And we also have several well-known ski resorts very close by to Vancouver, around 1 to 2 hour drive. If you enjoy outdoors and nature, Vancouver definitely is the destination cities you can explore. Also, Vancouver, our faculty members are also well connected into our Vancouver industry. Also, they are doing a lot of collaboration within local public schools. So you will see a lot of faculty exchange or visiting professors coming to Vancouver and explore research opportunities with our students. In our Vancouver campus, we host a lot of events. For example, the next week or two, we will have our career fairs, helping students to find co-op internship jobs. We have our partnership department constantly hosting industry workshop or series that they bring industry partner coming to our Vancouver space so that students will be able to know what's outside of our campus, what's going on in the industries. I think that's all from me. Yes. Okay. I will pass the floor to Harsh, and then Harsh can give an overview of our College of Engineering.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So just as what you have been shared about Vancouver, College of Engineering is definitely a campus that we are at multiple campuses just outside of Boston. So this is what our academic programs look like. So specifically for Vancouver, we have 2 programs there, which is DAE, which is Data Analytics Engineering, as well as Information Systems. Just what you see there is just that we are an expanding network for the College of Engineering. So within the few years, I'm sure Tiffany will agree, COE will be launching more and more programs there, as COE, College of Engineering, is probably the most second largest student population within the Northeastern network. So these are just some of our campuses that we are at, as well as the degrees and majors that we offer. Additionally, the great resource that for any student should be using if you're a prospect applicant, or if you're just still thinking about what you should do, is connecting with our student ambassadors. Student ambassadors are just as what they are. They are students that have been in your shoes that were looking for the college process. So they're a great resource to ask about the campus, accommodations for housing, course structure, what courses they've taken, some challenges, as well as you could even ask questions about what did they put on their application that made them stand out. But they are various workshops that Northeastern does to help you with that process as well. So something that the ambassadors could do, like I've said, are department and program specific questions, the student experience and their perspective on the admissions process, the coursework, relocation to campus, right? If you are a student both on the domestic side as well as international, and you have not been in Vancouver and you just want to know, moving is stressful and it's a lot of challenges that you may come across. So they definitely are a great resource or tool to use, as well as just life at Northeastern. We at Northeastern, or especially on the graduate level, have just as many programs and opportunities just as an undergrad student may have as well. So these are just some ways to connect. So I definitely advise you to scan the QR code, and that would help you connect with current students, as well as the student ambassadors on various social media platforms. So definitely use that as an opportunity as well. Something else I like to highlight, like I mentioned earlier, is student engagement. Just outside of academics, get involved. Getting involved is a great way for you to, one, network with current students, as well as network with students outside of your major. And that's a great way to start your career journey, because of course everyone knows how popular Northeastern is for a co-op. So these are just some of the engineering student clubs that we have. Let's say if that club is not at the Vancouver campus, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, as majority of them do meet virtually as well as online as well. so online as well as on ground. So definitely these are some groups, and some of these groups also get to attend conferences. So there's a lot of resources that are available for you all. Additionally to that, these are what we do for the student support services for career success. So you will be assigned a co-op coordinator if co-op is something you do decide to choose. I know a very common question is, can I start co-op right away? You have to wait a year before you start co-op, and there are specific courses you do have to take prior to co-op. On top of that, you want to make sure that if you're an international student, to connect with the OGS for any CPT advising questions that you have. And of course, all of you are provided a student support service advisor. So that's our academic advisor that will help you with registration, making sure you're on track to graduation. If there's course related issues, or if there's like a moment where you just want to talk, and maybe let's say if you're looking to switch your program or switch your class out, your academic advisors would be the person you will be contacting for that piece. Outside of that, so what are the next steps? And this is what the exciting piece is. So if you have not yet submitted your application, you still have the option to do so. So these are just some of our deadlines for PhD students. It will be for December 15th, but this is not a PhD. We don't currently offer PhD programs there. So for any MS, priority deadline is January 15th. If you are a student and you think you want to submit an application for spring 2025, you still have time. You have about I want to say 5-ish days or so, because the deadline is September 15th. So you want to make sure you submit all of your information by September 15th for any of the programs there. Just something to highlight here is that DAE, it will be offered in Vancouver for the spring of 2025. So if you are considering the DAE program, you could definitely submit an application for the spring term and see if that's an option, if that's something that works in your schedule. Outside of that, what does the application requirements look like? So there is an application fee of $100. We do require a minimum of 2 letters of recommendation. I will say this to students: if you decide to put 3 letters of recommendation or 3 recommenders, you have to make sure that all 3 recommenders do submit your letter of recommendation, because if the third person or one of the people don't out of the 3, your application remains incomplete. So just be mindful of who you're requesting for your letter of recommendations. Additionally, unofficial transcripts, we don't require official transcripts until later on in the process. Your statement of purpose. A lot of common questions we have: what should include? What do we highlight? Statement of purpose is unique. We always advise students to be unique and creative with it. We do review applications on a holistic approach. So definitely just be creative with it. Talk about your accomplishments, things you love doing, things you like to do in the future, what your career goals are, especially if you have done any research or have done any extracurricular activities. You definitely want to include that in your statement of purpose. Resume, of course, GREs are still optional at this point in time. They are not required. However, if you decide to submit, or you click on that you will be submitting GREs, you must do so. Unfortunately, that is something that we cannot waive once you click that you will submit GREs. So we highly advise students that if you do not plan on taking GREs or don't plan on submitting them, don't check that button off. And then, of course, these are the English proficiency exams that we do accept. So IELTS, TOEFLs, and Duolingos are what we accept at the university. And on our website, you could see what the requirement scores are for admissible. And then, of course, because you have joined us, this is the fee waiver code that you would use. So it's Apply COE 2025. It is case sensitive, so just take a screenshot of this so you guys could have access to it. Of course, you would also be emailed posts of this event for joining us, and that would be shared as well. But we highly encourage you to make sure that you're using the right fee waiver code and it's spelled correctly the way you see it. If you already have submitted an application, you cannot unfortunately go back in and use the fee waiver code to submit another one. All duplicate applications will unfortunately just not be validated. So just be mindful of the fee waiver code and how you type it in. And then, of course, keeping in touch with us. There's various ways that both myself and Tiffany's team are available. If it's through email, social media, you could also track where we are. So we always have events going on virtually, on ground, in person, all around the world. So definitely use that as an opportunity to see where we are and to connect with us and to, of course, connect with our student ambassadors. So I definitely see a lot of questions coming in. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and then use the Q&A feature for definitely to us to add anything in. But before we do that, I definitely want to ask Tiffany about housing because housing is always a very common question.
Yes, thank you, Harsh. So our students, well, first of all, our Vancouver location, campus location is in downtown. So the transit it's connecting everywhere, right? So some students will take which we call SkyTrain, which is very easy to come into downtown. In the morning, at night, SkyTrain normally start, 6 a.m. until maybe 1 a.m. Students will take SkyTrain coming into the campus. Students will live close to, I would say, some students living downtown, some students live 30 minutes away. So they take SkyTrain or other transit coming into downtown. Also, once you become admitted student, our student affairs department will reach out to you and share a student group. I think it's a WhatsApp group so that some students will connect to each other before they even come into Vancouver. So we see students connect and become roommate before they even start the program. We also have students that live maybe 45 minutes to an hour away. Obviously, the cost of the renting the apartment will be a little bit cheaper if you are further away from downtown. So there are lots of options. Once you become admitted student, our student services department will also send you a housing guide with some resources that provide you so that you will be able to find area of location that you can rent. I also want to share, we as our Vancouver campus, we collaborate with College of Engineering from Boston, from other locations very closely. You will see students collaborating with other campus network, hosting hackathon together, or you will see faculty member that collaborating with Boston, with Seneca Valley a lot when they work on project or work on student events. So that I will say that's the fun part of Global Campus Network, that the resources that you have in Boston, it's also the same as any campuses in any location. So whether you are in Canada, in Vancouver, or you are all the way in Miami, the academic advisor resources you will also have in Vancouver, in Boston, and also the co-op support that we have in each campuses are the same as our main campus, just like Boston. Harsh, do I miss anything? Do I need to
No,
add
I think
anything?
that was great
Okay,
because
great.
housing is always a very common question. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm definitely I see a lot of questions regarding the English proficiency exam. So if you are an international student, and I've put in the chat the link of our page, if you have obtained your education, let's say from the States, and you're applying for a graduate degree, you do not have to take an English proficiency exam since you already completed your studies in the States. If you're coming from a different place, let's say, for example, if you're coming from like India or China or any of the European countries, you may have to submit an English proficiency exam, but our website states which countries or what applies for a waiver. But if you studied in a school that only speaks English, Unfortunately, that does not count if you're coming from a country such as India. You have to provide an English proficiency exam. Great question for the September 15th deadline. No, you should submit all of the resources, whatever you could control, you should submit. So that's your resume, statement of purpose and all. We do ask that you do request your letters of recommendations as soon as possible, as once they are submitted, that is when your application is considered complete, and that is when it will be reviewed for decisioning. So submit whatever is in your control. Just reading some of these great questions. So research is something that's an elective. We don't require students to like automatically do research. Our campuses all have research labs. Our faculty are both in the industry, as well as some of them are just full-time tenure faculty members. So you could do research with them. We also collaborate with other colleges within Northeastern's network. So you could also do research with students outside of your time as a student, as well as once you are a student at Northeastern. So you don't necessarily have to have a research experience or research background to apply to Northeastern. But however, I would recommend your statement of purpose, that is something you could discuss. Like, I like to do research in this concentration, or this is something I like to consider in the future. So those are definitely ideas that you could add into your personal statement. But just if you don't have research experience, that does not mean your application will not be viewed or will not be considered. For students that have a different engineering background and then will like to apply for another specific background, yes, you can. It depends on your course structure and your thing. So we definitely advise students, if for any engineering programs, to definitely have a strong foundation in the math and science. That is something that will help you be very successful in the program itself, because it is very math and science heavy. Faculty, of course, do look at transcripts and courses that you have taken. So sometimes students are reached out by faculty members or the academic directors, like, this may be a prereq that we made that you should be taking before going into the course, or you could take this course along with this course at the same time, so it doesn't hinder you to not be successful in the course, as well as get on probation or anything like that, because we do advise students to maintain a B and higher while they are in graduate school, as well as you do need to maintain a certain GPA if you do decide to do co-op. Another question is regarding the references. So what on your application, which is done through Slate, you could put in your references. And if you're applying for multiple programs within that major application, the documents will be transferred to that piece. So when you're applying to Northeastern, specifically for College of Engineering, you could choose up to 2 additional concentrations on top of your main application. I'm also going to put in the chat box our COE email address, because these are some very specific questions that we're getting in the chat. So we definitely would need one of my colleagues to definitely answer some of those specific questions you guys have. But these are some great questions, and we're really excited to hear about your interest. And I'm also going to leave the connect with us slide on top of our, so you guys could take a screenshot of that as well.
I feel like there are a lot of application questions, which
Mhm.
means this group is already in that stage,
Which
right?
I love, which is great.
Yeah, and then it's always fun for us to talk to graduate students because all of you know what you want. They already know what they want.
I made a typo in the email, so anyone that copied the first email, please copy the second one because it's COE-grad admission. So apologies on my behalf. Great question about scholarships. So yes, we do offer scholarships at Northeastern. All of the applications that come in, they are reviewed for a dean scholarship. So it is a very holistic process. And then of course, there are supplemental scholarships that you could apply to while coming to Northeastern. So that's also shared on our financial literacy page of scholarships that you could apply for.
Oh, I see some students are from Ghana. I think our NU international team will be in Africa Expo. I can share more information where they will be, but I need to find out. So you can meet one of us in person.
To piggyback what Tiffany said, yes, there will be someone from COE at Ghana, so there definitely will be representation there. She's gonna probably put in the chat the dates that Northeastern will be there. But something I do recommend is that I'm gonna put in our events page for Northeastern, and that is a great way to reference to and see where Northeastern will be. So I'm gonna put that in the chat, and that's a great way to just, I guess, follow us and see where we're gonna be, or as other people say, stalk us and see where we will be as well. So that link will send you to our events page, and that will show you about any virtual events that we do. We do a lot of virtual events. We also will be hosting open house September 14th and 25th. So if you are looking for more of a specific session, definitely I highly recommend that piece because that will be presented by our departments. So there will be departments there. There will be our student ambassadors will also be there as well. So definitely follow us and register for that event. And then there was a request about the fee waiver code. So this is the fee waiver code. Just make sure it is case sensitive. So please copy and paste that or take a screenshot and just make sure you type it in correctly. Tiffany, can you talk about like research opportunities at the Vancouver campus?
If students will join Vancouver campus, all the students are required capstone projects. So those are the projects that you have to work with your faculty and work along with industry partners to complete that project. When you complete your first year, your academic advisor will let you know when you should start preparing your capstone project. We have our Department of Partnership and also co-op department constantly going out to the industry and trying to build more relationship, connecting the industry with our students to build more network events and opportunities so that students will be able to find more research opportunities. So you will find some of our students currently, for example, working with BC Cancer Society, working with British Columbia TransLink, which is the bus system. And then we also have students starting to, I think we see starting to work with bank industry data. There's lots of data in the bank. So the banking industry, And we also have some students working with startup. Because when you work with startup, there are a lot of new opportunities. And if you look at Vancouver, 80% of our companies are startup and mid-sized companies. So they will need a lot of data research kind of opportunities, so that students will be able to work along with industry partners to build more research to complete their program.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So since you've been at Vancouver, what are some of your favorite things at the Vancouver campus?
Can you expand your question a little bit?
So like, what is your favorite thing on campus that you?
Oh, favorite thing. Okay. It's more seeing our campus hosting events. So I like just look at the whole summer. The summer almost every single day we have events in campus. And if you have the chance to speak to our campus dean, Steve Eccles, you will always hear him talking about student outcome. You know, right now, me and Harsh is here helping you to choose the right program with you, to help you to get your application started or complete your application. But what is our end goal? Is to see you start your program and successfully complete your program and find that job you're looking for, right? So we are very focusing on student outcome. That's why every single week we will invite our community partners. Like we have a design community, we have data, we have a data science group that every 2 weeks they are meeting in our campus. We give our classroom space for free so that they can host their meetup or workshop in our campus. And those events are, some of the events are free of charge. Some of the events we will have discount code for all our students so that you have the chance to join those well-connected community group to build your network in Vancouver. Because for you, this may be a new city, new country if you're an international student. So build that relationship, build that network is very important so that when you are ready to find that co-op and internship, or when you complete your program, you're ready to go out and find your full-time job, you already know what is the current industry are looking for, or what are the skill sets that those community partners or those companies are looking to have. So to go back to our questions is to see all those events coming to our campus and see our current students are constantly going and join into those events, just make my days. So for example, this week on Wednesday, I'm working with 2 of my faculties. They are originally from Latin America. So I'm working with them and hosting an event for our Latin America students that in Vancouver. So obviously prospective students. We have Deloitte, their VP of Deloitte of Global Expansion came into our campus hosting workshop. We have, Amazon group that constantly coming to our campus hosting their workshop during the weekend. So every time they host workshop, they're bringing over 100 programmers or software engineers coming to our campus, so our students actually can do some mixer with them and network with those talents that are already in our Vancouver tech industries.
I appreciate that. And just for everyone know, Boston and Vancouver are in 2 different time zones. So it is 10:42 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's 7:42 for Tiffany. So we appreciate Tiffany being up really early to join us for this webinar and to do this with you guys. So I've been trying to answer a lot of questions that are coming in, so I appreciate everyone's patience, but we are almost at the top of the hour, so not all of them could get answered. However, a lot of the questions that many of you have asked are very similar questions, so we appreciate that piece. But for any questions regarding visa, that is something that our Office of Global Studies will discuss with you, because if you are an international student, you will be applying for visa. And because if you're applying to the Vancouver campus, it will be a specific Canadian visa. It will not be a United States visa. So just some clarity there. That's a great question. What is acceptance rate of graduate students? So our Vancouver campus has been growing, like Tiffany stated 5 years ago, it was 9 students. At this point, we have expanded our cohort to over 300 students, and we have we have 2 programs specifically for COE, and we have 4 colleges within Vancouver. So there is a lot of growth that's happening at that campus. So definitely it is increasing drastically. And like I've stated earlier, a lot of questions were regarding GPA and stuff. We offer the process of our application process is very holistic. So if your GPA is a little bit shy than what we normally recommend, don't be discouraged by it. Still submit your application. That is something that we all review. Especially, we understand that this is engineering. Engineering is a hard industry. The courses you take are challenging. So that, of course, adds to that piece as well. So I think we have probably answered majority of the questions. Some of them are repeated, so I'm not going to answer that again.
Harsh, I'm also sharing some links. So I have a housing link for 2 Canadian campus I just shared, and I'll also share the Office of Global Services Canadian campuses link. So OGS US and OGS Canada, I think they have 2 different links to share. So this is the OGS Canada link. So living in Canada, new students travel to Canada, late arrival and deferral policy, welcome new students. So health insurance, housing in Canada, you will find a lot of information on the OGS Canada student support website for international students.
Perfect. Appreciate that. I think we have answered all of the questions. We definitely invite students to copy and paste the links that were sent in the chat box, as well as to sign up for our open house. Open house will be a great opportunity to also connect with our faculty one-on-one. So it is a session that would definitely talk about the program that you're interested in, as well as there will be support from enrollment management. So if you have specific questions about credit evaluations, application, they will also be there for support as well. So we definitely do advise you to just take a minute or so just to copy the links that were shared, since once the session will end, it will go away. But you will receive a follow-up email from me that will also have the link to the application page as well as to our events page, so you can connect with us at any moment in time. Once again, I'd like to thank you, Tiffany, for joining us super early this morning. And we hope that the session was very helpful for all the participants that have joined us. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us. So once again, thank you so much for joining, and enjoy the rest of your day, afternoon, or evening. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.